Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is an important topic in the thorax, the pleura. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. Now we will start the topic. The pleura. Pleura is a delicate and closed serous sac into which the corresponding lung invaginates from the medial side. So if this is the pleural sac, the lung invaginates from the medial side so that this pleura is now divided in by this lung bud into parietal layer and visceral layer. So this is the growing lung bud. So this immediately covering this will be the visceral layer and this outer layer will be the parietal layer. That's how the parietal and visceral layers of pleural sac are formed. Both layers are continuous around the lung root and the pulmonary ligament. Now we will see the two parts of the pleura, visceral pleura or pulmonary pleura. Visceral pleura or pulmonary pleura intimately invest the entire lung except the hilum and the attachment of the pulmonary ligament. This visceral layer we can't separate from the connective tissue framework of the lung. Now we will see in detail parietal pleura. Parietal pleura is named according to the structures it lines, so that it is divided into four parts. Costal pleura, so surrounding this ribs and the lungs, it will be called costal pleura. Then here it will be related to the diaphragm, so covering this part will be called as diaphragmatic pleura. So that is the diaphragmatic pleura surrounding the apex of the lung. Here it will be the cervical pleura. Then covering the medial surface of the lung, that is the mediastinal surface. So this is the mediastinal surface of the lung. So covering this part will be called as mediastinal surface pleura. Covering the mediastinal surface of lung is called mediastinal pleura. So these are the four parts of the pleura: costal pleura, diaphragmatic pleura, cervical pleura, and mediastinal pleura. So we will see one by one in detail. Costal pleura. Costal pleura lines the inner surface of the sternum. So lines the inner surface of the sternum and the ribs. It also lines the inner surface of the ribs. So here this is the ribs. So this inner surface will be lined by the costal pleura and also the costal cartilages, intercostal spaces, and the sides of the vertebral bodies. But the costal layer is separated from the above structures by the endothoracic fascia. Tracing, now we will trace this costal pleura in front. First we will trace. At the back of the sternum, so this is at the back of the sternum, it is continuous with the mediastinal pleura along the costo-mediastinal line of reflections. So that reflection we will see now, costo-mediastinal reflection, which is slightly different on two sides. On both sides, the lines extend downwards and medially from the sternoclavicular joint. On both sides, they same to the middle of the sternal angle. Then descend vertically up to the fourth costal cartilage. From here, it differs on both sides. On the right side, the line passes vertically downwards behind the siphisternal joint, laterally across the right costocephoid angle, follows the seventh costal cartilage. So now it is continuous with the diaphragmatic line, costodiaphragmatic line of pleural reflection. On the left side, the line from the sternal angle up to the fourth costal cartilage, then deviates laterally from the sternum, descends close to the sternum up to the sixth costal cartilage. Thereafter, it turns laterally. Then this line will be again left costodiaphragmatic line of reflection. So that is the costal reflection in front. Behind we will see. So behind, costal pleura is continuous with mediastinal pleura. So here is costal pleura. It will be continuous with mediastinal pleura along the costovertebral reflection, which extends 2.5 centimeter lateral to the 7th cervical spine to the 12th thoracic spine on both sides. So this is the costovertebral reflection on both sides behind. Now we will see above. So above, costal pleura is continuous with cervical pleura on both sides along the inner border of the first rib. So along the inner border of first rib, it is continuous with cervical pleura. Below, it is continuous with diaphragmatic pleura along a line. So we will see. So this is the below costodiaphragmatic reflection, which differs on both sides. On the right side, the line can be drawn from the sternal joint and 8th costal cartilage in the mid-clavicular line and 10th rib in the mid-axillary line. And if you will trace it behind to a point 2.5 centimeters lateral to the 12th thoracic spine, which we have drawn below. So it will be continuous like this. On the left side, from the left 6th costosternal joint, then other points are same on the right side. On the left side, we have to draw, instead of sternal joint, we have to take the point on the left 6th costosternal joint. So from there it will be same on both sides. So this is about the costal pleura. Now diaphragmatic pleura covers the corresponding part of the diaphragm. So here will be the diaphragm lying. So base of the lung is related to the diaphragm, separated by the diaphragmatic pleura. And it is continuous with the costal pleura along the costodiaphragmatic line. Medially, it is continuous with the mediastinal pleura. This mediastinal surface is covered by mediastinal pleura. So that is also, this diaphragmatic pleura is also continuous with the mediastinal pleura. So that covers the diaphragmatic pleura. Now we will see the cervical pleura. Cervical pleura extends from the inner border of the first rib to cover the, so here it is extending from the inner border of the first rib to cover the apex of the lung, and medially it is continuous with the mediastinal pleura. The summit of the cervical pleura is 3 to 4 centimeter above the first costal cartilage. So here 3 to 4 centimeter above the first costal cartilage and 2.5 centimeter above the sternal end of the clavicle. But it does not extend above the neck of the first rib. Cervical pleura will be covered externally by the suprapleural membrane, which we have learned. Now the mediastinal pleura. We will see the mediastinal surface. So this is the mediastinal surface of the lung. So the pleura which covers this mediastinal surface will be called as mediastinal pleura. It forms the lateral boundary of the mediastinum. And here this middle part will be called as the hilum of the lung. So this hilum of the lung, the mediastinal pleura will be continuous along the hilum of the lung as the pulmonary ligament or the lung root. So through the lung root, the structures enter the hilum of the lung. So lung root and the pulmonary ligament are the parts of the mediastinal pleura. So we can see this mediastinal pleura into three parts: above the lung root, at the lung root, and below the lung root. Above the lung root, it forms the continuous anteroposterior sheet extending from the sternum to the vertebral column, so that it is related to the mediastinal structures, mainly to the superior mediastinal structures. At the lung root, the mediastinal pleura passes laterally in the form of a tube enclosing the structures of the lung root, and it is continuous with the pulmonary pleura. So arrangement of the structures within the lung root are the same as the structures in the hilum of both the lungs. Below the lung root, mediastinal pleura forms a bilaminar fold that will be called as pulmonary ligament, which extends from the side of the apex esophagus to the corresponding lung below the hilum. Pulmonary ligament contains no important structures except some loose areolar tissue and lymphatics. So we have seen in the mediastinal pleura what is lung root and also the pulmonary ligament. The structures in the lung root and the hilum, they are the same. So you will learn the hilum, then we will see the structures in the hilum of the lung. Both the lung root structures are the same. Now we will see the recesses of the pleura. It is a cleft-like potential space between the pleura and the lung. So if there is the pleura, so if this is the pleural reflection we have learned. So between the lung and pleura, we have a recess. So that will be the costodiaphragmatic recess. So here is the costodiaphragmatic recess. It is a cleft-like potential space between the lower limit of the pleural sac and the lower border of the corresponding lung. The lower limit of the pleura corresponds with 8th, 10th and 12th ribs in the mid-clavicular, mid-axillary and scapular lines. The lower border of the lung corresponds to ribs above, 6th, 8th and 10th ribs in the respective same mid-clavicular, mid-axillary and scapular lines. If you see this costodiaphragmatic recess, it is semilunar in shape. So this recess is semilunar in shape. Right costodiaphragmatic recess crosses the right costocephoid angle and left crosses the left costovertebral angle only. What is this recess? It makes a provision to allow expansion of the lung in full inspiration, and it is the most dependent part of the lung, dependent part of the pleural sac. So if fluid appears in the pleural sac, it collects first in the costodiaphragmatic recess. So we have to search any fluid accumulation first in this recess. So this is the details of the pleura, which we have learned in detail in this video. Parts of the parietal pleura, cervical, they are the four parts: cervical pleura, costal pleura. So this is cervical pleura covering this apex of the lung. This will be the costal pleura covering the ribs and the costal cartilages and the sternum, diaphragmatic pleura and mediastinal pleura. Applied anatomy, if you see so many applied anatomy, if you become a pulmonologist, you will be seeing so many infection and inflammation of the pleura, which is called pleuritis or pleurisy, which may be dry pleurisy, or it may be with a fluid accumulation, it will be called as pleural effusion. The fluid may be in the form of hydrothorax or maybe in the pus, pyothorax, hemothorax, blood, or chylothorax if it is the lymph due to the rupture of the thoracic duct. Pleural tap is usually performed posterior to the pleural tap is tapping of this fluid in the pleural sac, usually performed posterior to the mid-axillary line at one or more intercostal spaces below the fluid level with the patient in the sitting position and not below the ninth intercostal space, otherwise injury to the diaphragm and spleen on the left side or the liver on the right side. Entry of air into the pleural cavity will be called as pneumothorax, which abolishes the negative intrapleural pressure, results in the collapse of the lung. So many applied aspects in this pleural cavity, which we have seen the anatomy of the pleural sac in detail in this video. The next important topic in the thorax we will see in the next video. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. Thank you.